My hands tightened on the wheel as the dark ribbon of road stretched ahead, swallowing the headlights in slow, greedy gulps. The engine hummed a steady, monotonous drone, a sound I had grown to trust over the lonely hours of this highway. Cold air leaked through the cracked window, smelling faintly of wet asphalt and pine, curling against my cheeks in little icy fingers. The only other companion was the faint static in the radio, a low hiss that sometimes coalesced into half-heard voices or a long, whining note before dissolving again into nothing. Then it started. Tap. A single, hollow knock on the roof. I froze mid-gear shift. My interior lights flickered once. My pulse spiked, my stomach a coil of taut wire. Another tap. Another flicker. Each pulse of illumination in the car was a heartbeat in rhythm with whatever was up there. Probably just a branch, I muttered, forcing my voice to sound casual, though the taut string of tension in my chest betrayed me. But the air had thickened unnaturally. Fog slithered along the tarmac, clinging to the treeline, swallowing my headlights in roiling white fingers. Tap, flicker. I slowed, squinting through the condensation gathering on the windows, trying to see something, anything. The taps were deliberate now, patient, almost conversational in their timing. The car seemed alive in response, the dashboard lights pulsing, the faint vibrations in the frame echoing with each touch. My skin prickled. The wind outside had fallen away. Even the trees seemed to hold their breath. I pulled over, tires crunching the gravel shoulder, and killed the engine. Silence crashed over me like a physical weight. The taps ceased for a moment, replaced by the soft hiss of cooling metal and the occasional drip of moisture from the fog-laden branches. Then, as if on cue, a slow, dragging tap, 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 resumed, and the lights inside the car answered with tremulous pulses. Heart hammering, I opened the door. The air hit me, colder than before, tasting of iron and something fouler beneath it. I crouched beside the car, hand pressed against the roof. The surface was cold, damp, and indented, not in the way a branch might leave scratches, but deep circular impressions, almost perfectly formed. They shifted when I moved my hand, as though the metal were liquid, remembering and forgetting my touch. My breath fogged in front of my face. Tap, flicker. I climbed back inside, locking the doors. The radio sparked violently, then fell silent, leaving only the tapping. I stared at the ceiling, trying to parse a shape from the shadows. My eyes strained against the dim glow, and I thought I saw it. A silhouette, warped and wet-looking, crouching on the roof, its limbs folded in ways that made no sense, a dark smear against the foggy night. It moved with a slow, deliberate grace, and the lights flinched as if shrinking from its gaze. "Get off," I whispered, the words lost in the hum of static and the ticking of my own pulse. Tap, flicker. The tapping grew faster, urgent now, a rhythm that seemed almost alive. My reflection in the rearview mirror warped, stretched. My own eyes seemed too large, too dark, staring back at me with an alien patience. I could feel its weight on the roof, though the car's suspension barely moved. My mind shouted that it wasn't real, but my body refused to obey. I reached for the door handle. The moment my hand touched the cold metal, the tapping stopped. The lights steadied. Silence rolled over the interior like a thick cloth. My chest heaved, the adrenaline drain leaving me hollow. Then I noticed the rearview mirror. Something was behind me, not in the reflection of the road, but inside the glass itself. My own face stared back, pale, sweat-slicked, but the eyes were wrong. They blinked when I didn't. They smiled when I didn't. And the tapping returned, now beneath me, under the floorboards, reverberating through the seat, as if it had crawled inside me while I watched. I threw the car in reverse, tires skidding over gravel, headlights cutting into the fog. Tap, tap, tap followed, now from below, above, all around. The interior lights danced frenetically, shadows writhing, echoing shapes that should not exist. The road twisted ahead in impossible angles, dark trees bending in ways that made no spatial sense. Every blink of the lights revealed another silhouette pressing against the windows, kneeling on the roof, or crouching beneath the seats. all impossibly synchronized with my panic. I floored the accelerator. The engine roared, the tires screamed, and the fog swallowed the car whole. The tapping didn't cease. It followed, relentless, an echo in the frame, in my bones, in the sweat-slick hollows of my skull. Then, abruptly, it stopped. Silence. Dead quiet. The kind that presses against the eardrums until you hear your own heartbeat. The interior lights glowed steadily now, revealing the road straight and empty ahead. I slowed, trembling, trying to will my pulse to calm. The fog thinned. My reflection in the mirror was normal. A laugh, low, wet, almost amused, slithered through the air vents. My eyes snapped to the roof. No indentations, no shadow. Only the cold metal, gleaming with the faint sheen of condensation. I shook my head, trembling, unsure if I'd imagined everything. But then the first tap came again from inside the glove compartment. Tap. Flicker. I froze. My hands had not touched it. The glove box rattled like something living. Slowly, impossibly, the latch clicked open. There, nestled inside, a small, damp imprint of a hand pressed into the leather lining, perfectly human, and impossibly, unmistakably my own. Couldn't look away. It was as if the car had waited for me to see it, for me to understand that the tapping had never been outside. It had always been me or whatever had taken my shape to reach inside, to learn the rhythm of my heartbeat, the pulse of my fear, the exact cadence to sync the lights with. Tap, flicker, and in that moment, as I sat frozen, the air around me chilled to a frostbite sting. I realized the worst truth. It didn't want to get in. It already was. The highway was empty, a slick ribbon of asphalt disappearing into the night. My headlights cut through a thin fog, pale beams trembling over faded lane markings. The engine purred beneath me, a familiar hum, but tonight it felt hollow, like the sound of something echoing through a space that shouldn't exist. The radio was static, half-muttering and indecipherable, a ghostly chorus against the hum of tires. I wasn't sure why I took the next exit. My GPS had been glitching for miles, coordinates jumping, the blue line leaping erratically across the map. There was a sense that something wanted me off the highway, a subtle insistence that I followed the detour. The ramp was sudden, steep, and impossibly narrow. The edges of the asphalt fell away into darkness, though I could not tell how far. My car hugged the curve, every nerve in my body alert. Then I saw it. The bridge. It hung suspended in the night, a road suspended over nothing. I could see the outline of the deck in the fog, sleek and black, with no supports, no terrain beneath it. The mist swirled along its length, curling upward like smoke, and the headlights barely touched the surface. There were no guardrails, no signs, no visible end. Just a straight stretch of asphalt that floated impossibly, inviting me forward. I pressed the accelerator, compelled more than willing. Tires met pavement in silence. There was no friction, no hum, no vibration from the asphalt. The fog thickened, clinging to the edges, and the stars above seemed dimmer, less familiar. My reflection in the windshield warped, my face longer than it should be, eyes slightly too wide. I blinked. It was gone. The air around the bridge had weight. It pressed against my chest like water, cold and thick, and I could feel it vibrating beneath me, a subtle thrum as though the void itself were alive. There was a whispering somewhere deep below, just at the edge of perception. I could not tell if it came from the night wind or from the emptiness beneath the bridge. Words slipped in and out of comprehension, fleeting syllables that tugged at memory, at thought. Time began to shift. My watch, which I had checked moments ago, seemed to stall. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours, though the road ahead remained the same. The bridge elongated with every second, impossible distance stretching infinitely. The fog swirled into patterns I almost recognized, shapes like the shoulders of someone crouching, only vanishing before I could focus. Shadows danced beneath me where no shadow should exist. I tried to remember how I got here. The memory of the highway, of the exit sign, became uncertain. The turnoff had been sudden, but the ramp now seemed impossibly long. The edges of my mind blurred. Visions of streets I had never driven. Faces I should have known. Names that escaped me. Each blink of the headlights revealed more of the bridge, yet the end remained unseen. I pressed the accelerator, half afraid to stop. A vibration ran through the car. Not the engine, not the tires. The bridge itself seemed to pulse in resonance with my heartbeat. The whispering intensified, now clearly vocal, just beyond understanding, like a language I could almost parse. It was coaxing, patient, and yet menacing in its stillness. I leaned forward, gripping the wheel, trying to focus on the road. The fog thickened so much that I could no longer see the edge of the bridge. My headlights illuminated only a few feet ahead, a corridor of gray void. Panic rose, but the pull of the bridge was irresistible. I felt as if some presence beneath the asphalt was drawing me closer, curving the road under me, folding space so that every forward motion carried me deeper into the unknown. Time dilated further. Seconds stretched endlessly, then collapsed. The bridge flickered at the edges of perception, sometimes seeming to tilt, to bend impossibly, like a reflection in rippling water. I looked down, there was nothing. Absolute nothing. A void so deep it pressed against my senses. The whispering now had rhythm, a cadence that mirrored my own heartbeat. I tried to slow down, but the accelerator was stuck beneath my foot. The road never ended. My hands shook. My reflection in the rearview mirror shifted again. My eyes stared back, but the expression was wrong. Hunger or curiosity, I couldn't tell which. My own voice echoed in the car, low and distorted, repeating the words I hadn't spoken. Keep going, follow. Somewhere in the fog, I saw movement. Not on the bridge, not above it, but in the void beneath. Shapes flickered just beyond comprehension, impossible angles folding in on themselves. I tried to tear my gaze away, but the shadows seemed to reach for my attention, tugging at memory, at fear. Every vibration in the car felt sentient, aware of me. I was no longer alone, yet there was nothing tangible to confront. I pressed on. The bridge stretched endlessly. My surroundings became a blur of fog and distorted reflections, my mind unraveling as the road seemed to loop back on itself. I thought I saw the exit ramp from the highway ahead, identical yet subtly wrong. The fog lifted just enough to reveal the familiar sign, the same steep curve. I had returned. The ramp led me back to the bridge. My tires touched the asphalt again in silence. The night sky had changed, stars unfamiliar, constellations I did not know. The moon hung too low, too large, casting a sickly pale glow. My reflection in the windshield was no longer my own. Subtle differences, the curve of my jaw, the set of my shoulders, the shape of my eyes. I leaned forward, pressing my palm to the glass. The reflection mimicked me perfectly, yet it wasn't me. The whispering rose once more, soft and insistent, coming from the void beneath the bridge. Promised passage, knowledge, eternity. I wanted to stop, to reverse, to drive back to the highway. But the exit ramp curved upward, steep and narrow as before, and the bridge stretched before me endlessly. I realized then that the world beyond the bridge had changed, that nothing I remembered of the highway, of the night, of myself was reliable. The void beneath waited, patient and eternal, and the bridge was a corridor to somewhere that should not exist, leading me deeper into its impossible geometry. I pressed forward. The car met the pavement without sound. The fog swirled. Shadows danced. Whispers followed. The bridge pulsed under me, infinite, suspended, alive. And when I glanced once more at the rearview mirror, the face that looked back was smiling.